So we just launched a course today called Interview 101 Teacher Edition. I know that this is a topic that's very near and dear to your teaching heart. Can you share about your why as to why you created this course in the first place and why it's important for our future teachers to know about?
There's a lot of reasons. I've been an educator for 15 years, and when I started out, I am naturally a very shy person. And so when I started out interviewing, it was very difficult for me to come across as confident and to get my words out properly so that I sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really struggled with interviewing, and, I taught for about 8 years, and I decided I want to be an administrator. So I decided to get into administration, and that's when I started interviewing other people, and I saw the behind the scenes work that goes into it. And then I would see these people who I'm like, you could be the best teacher in the world if you would just convey yourself properly in an interview.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I can help these people because I was right there where they were. And I knew what it was that they were needing to say. I knew the things that they were missing. And so I just decided to start helping people in that way. And then, it takes a lot of time and effort, and it's hard when you work one-on-one with someone. You can't spread yourself too thin. So when you had originally reached out to me to do a podcast.
Yes, like in January or December. Yes.
Yes. And when you did that, I thought, we started talking and everything. And with your knowledge and my knowledge, I thought we could reach so many more people if we put this together in a course that was accessible to anyone at any time. And it wouldn't be dependent upon our time to spend with them,
Right.
And now it's just available to anyone. And so that's kind of the reasoning behind it. And, I love helping people get teaching jobs.
Yes.
It's a huge passion of mine. So that's kind of my why, I guess.
I love that one. I like how you're on both sides of the desk, so to speak. So you've been in the interviewee's shoes and you've been in the interviewer's shoes as well. So you have some great advice and tips for both of those, perspectives. So I think that's really cool. The why that for me of why we created the course was, I'm seeing all these awesome things that future teachers are doing on Instagram and on Twitter, how they're preparing to be educators of excellence throughout their college career, dropping some information or some things that they're doing, projects that they're creating, lessons that they're developing. And it's just so amazing to see them along their journey. And you just want to see them through, like, get that teaching job, get your own classroom, you've got this. And that's kind of about my why to come alongside and create this course with you. Now, this has been a labor of love from both of our parts, and I think it really shows in the material. So let's walk through what can we find in the Interview 101 Teacher Edition. I know we have kind of like 4 steps that we go through with the interview process. We walk them through getting very much the first step, getting started in your teaching interview.
Yeah. And so that first step came across because, you and I had originally discussed this, and with a lot of my personal clients, I talked to them about this. They don't even know where to start looking for jobs. They don't know the correct documents and how to format their resume and cover letters so that it's specific to the job for which they're applying. And so I thought, well, when we were creating the course, I wanted to incorporate something that would help them get through that, or figure out, where do I even go to apply? When I submit my resume, what should it look like? What does a good cover letter include? And then once we finish that kind of section, it jumps into prepping for an interview. Mm-hmm. So, if you do everything the correct way and you submit your online application, you've got the best documents, you're really separating yourself from everybody else. Hopefully you're going to land that interview, and that next step goes into preparing for the interview. And I kind of like to think of it as like taking a test. An interview is like taking a test. would you ever go into a test without studying the night before? I mean, in college, I may have once or twice. And
I know, I can think of a very clear example of when I've done that. Yes, in college.
Yes, you get in the class and you're sitting there and you're like,
oh
man. Oh, dear God. I'm so sorry. I'll never do that again. So, yeah, you know, you have to prepare the night before so that when you go in, it really boosts your confidence.
Yes.
And I really believe in practicing speaking those answers, because it's one thing to say them in your head. It's another thing to actually say them out loud, you know? And so what we do is we walk through prepping the night before, down to what do you want to wear? What are you going to wear?
Yes.
Because that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And so
right.
that's another section that we include. And, you know, you and I had talked about this. I have known of clients who've gone into interviews and they wore open-toed shoes and someone did not like toes, apparently.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's just,
yes.
it's so the little things, you know?
Yes. And so we go from how do we stand out from that stack of resumes on somebody's desk to, okay, I got my first round interview. What does that even mean? What to expect in that first round interview? And then continuing through to different interview questions. We talk about how to prepare the night before, get your stuff ready, get your teacher bag ready, get, you know, an outfit picked out, make sure it's clean and everything like that. But whenever we go in for that interview, we also talk about some common interview questions. Yes, we talk about how to present yourself with body language, what that means to an interview. Could you share maybe one or two common interview questions that teachers are going to come across in a first round type interview?
Okay. One of the very first questions that I would say in probably 90% of the interviews that you're going to walk into, teaching or non-teaching, is tell me a little about yourself. And I think a lot of people stumble on this because it's that very fine line between bragging, but really actually highlighting your accomplishments and telling them why you're there. And so we give you kind of a formula of how to attack that question in a very, you know, succinct amount of time so that you're not rambling on.
Yes.
Another one that we talk about, and it's sort of packaged together. This will attack 3 or 4 different questions, but relationship questions. How do you handle that difficult student? If you've never been in a classroom and you're a brand new teacher, that may not be something you've had to deal with. So that's something that we give you some you know, information on and suggestions. How do you handle a difficult parent or a difficult coworker? And so we talk about strategies that you can use when talking or answering these questions, especially if you've never had that experience before. Mm-hmm. And then within there, you touched on this a little bit, but the body language, it's so important. We have a whole video on body language and things that you want to do and things that you don't want to do. And it's just the subtle little things, you know, that make a really big difference.
So you've been in that first round interview with interviewees, and what are some things that you look for that helps them stand out from other candidates during that first round?
Well, you know, there's so many things. Confidence is, when you walk into a room, confidence is huge. And I really believe that you are going to be confident if you do the preparation, if you do the research of the school, if you do all of that. And so this is why, you know, again, I just think this course is so important, because it will really boost your confidence when you walk in, because you're going to know. If you follow, you know, one of our videos is how to research a school properly. Mm-hmm. And I go in and I walk through, it's a detailed video on giving you an example of how I study a school with one of my clients before they go in, so that when they walk in, they know everything about that school that there is to know. Right. And so, well, go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Sorry. That's okay. So we go through our first round interview. Let's make it to the second round. What's a common second round or third round, depending on how a school does it? Could be 2 and 3 lumped together. So if we're doing like a live teaching interview now, so we've gone through that first round, kind of like that screening type interview questions. We've gotten to our second or third round type, depending on the school.
Okay.
What's a common question, or what's something you're looking for when people are doing that teaching demonstration type step in the interview?
I am looking for really student-driven lesson plans.
Yes.
I'm really looking for those interactive lesson plans where the teacher does the preparation beforehand so that during the lesson, the students are doing the work. The teacher's not, lecturing and things like that. The kids are creating the questions. The kids are doing the research. The kids are really facilitating the class. And so that's what I really look for when someone stands up and just talks and talks and talks during a demonstration. That's one clue to me that it's going to be more of a lecture situation. And my time span or attention span is a good 5 minutes. So I can't imagine a kid's, right? So sitting there lecturing, that's not going to go too far with kids. So that's one thing that I really, really look for.
I love that, having a student-driven, student-focused lesson. Now, if I'm coming in for a second round interview, what are some questions that I can be asking my interviewers to prepare for that second or third round interview where I'm teaching live? Would it be appropriate to ask them, what lessons are the students learning about? Where are they in their course scope and sequence? What types of adaptations need to be made? What are some good questions that I can be asking so I'm prepared to lead a student-driven lesson with students I probably have never met before?
Right. Well, it really depends on the situation. I would ask as many questions as you can because you really want to know, are you giving me the content? What is the grade level? I mean, most of the times they're going to tell you exactly what the grade level is, where they are in the content. But to me, it's hard to teach a good lesson where you don't know the likes and dislikes of the students. So if at all possible, I would kind of want to know, well, is there any way that you could tell me some of the types of lessons that have gone over well with these
that's
kids?
a good one.
And also, what is the level of the students? Is it a mixed level? Do you have a bunch of students who are higher that I need to expand my lesson? Do you have a bunch of students that are lower so I can make some modifications? What type of differentiation are you looking for in this lesson so that when going in, if it's a pre-AP course, of course you want it pretty high level, but are there some kids who are going to need some modifications in there? And that's something that I would always ask, what types of modifications do I need to prepare for here? Because I want to make sure I'm helping all of my kiddos.
That's awesome. So we know whenever we're going in for an interview, we're not the only ones being interviewed, right? We want to also interview that school. So I know oftentimes during whichever phase of the interview process that you are in, there's usually an option for you, an opportunity to ask questions for the district. What's a great question to ask a school district when you're in either phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 of the interview process? So
this is going to sound a little different, but I have read several articles where, this is so impactful. People love to talk about themselves. People love to be engaged in the conversation. And a lot of times, when you're in an interview, the interviewers are asking you these questions and you're talking about yourself the whole time. Well, I really suggest turn it around and ask a question about the interviewer. If you have a panel, maybe ask the panel, what is your favorite thing about working here at this school? Or what is the best experience you've had so far? Or if you had any advice you could give a brand new teacher, what would it be? Something
that's
like
excellent.
That. Yeah, that's unique, that's going to make you stand out. And that's not necessarily about you, it's more about them so that they're talking about themselves. And then in that way, you're building rapport with your interviewer.
Yes, and that makes it memorable. And that's good information for you if you want to work at a school like this. So if people are like, I love how we're doing new initiatives, or we're doing community outreach, or I've worked here for 15 years and every year it gets better. Those are some things that you want to be looking for and listening for during that interview as well. You don't just want to go there, no questions. No, of course you have questions, right? Now,
Exactly.
should we ask questions that we know answers to? That's stuff we can find on the website. Probably not, right?
No, probably not. Don't waste people's time. You know, everybody has things to do. Don't
Right.
ask a question just because you have to ask a question. Make it
Yeah.
meaningful. Yeah, you want it to be meaningful and interesting. You know, you want to engage your interview panel somehow, and that's the best way to do it at the very end by asking them about themselves.
I like that. That's really cool. Thank you so much, Candace. So, Candace, we are at the last part of our interview. How do we wrap that interview up like a pro teacher, like an educator of excellence? What's one thing we need to do to really, make ourselves stand out from the other candidates that are also being considered for this position?
Number one thing, thank you letter, handwritten thank you letter that goes
Yep.
such a long way. And I suggest to my clients take a couple of thank you notes in your car that have stamps on them already. Get the names of the interviewers from the secretary before you leave, and sit out in your car and write those thank you letters and put them in the mail before you forget, because you want to put a little personal line to the people who were in there, like, dear principal so-and-so, thank you so much for taking time to sit with me and chat today. I look forward to hearing from you. Best of luck in your candidate search, or whatever. But definitely that thank you letter goes a long way.
I love it. And is it okay to add in additional information? Possibly if they asked you a question, could you follow up on it? Maybe in the thank you letter. Like, I love how you asked me the question about classroom management. I would love to show you more on my digital portfolio. Pop in a little link right there just to keep that conversation going, keep you front of mind.
Great suggestion. Yeah, great suggestion.
Awesome. Thanks. I just came up with that one.
That was brilliant.
You were saying you tell your clients to have stuff in the car ready to go. I was like, oh, I remember that from the last time we chatted. I'm like, that is,
Yep.
I hope you bring that up because that's really important.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the course and how it walks through how do I even get started looking for a teaching job through resume, cover letter, common interview questions, preparing the night before, which may not sound important, but it really is. It helps you get that right frame of mind.
Yeah, it is
right.
The most important thing that you can do is that preparation.
So we pull in from the preparing the night before, we pull in tips to help you get your mindset and your confidence ready to go. We talk about interview tips and strategies, and we close it out with how to stay front of mind with the interview team. Now, Candace, where can we find out more about this course? Where can we go register? Click that sign up button. Where can we go register for this course? It's self-paced and it's virtual and it's on your own time at your own pace. We're available for questions. What can we do where can we go to sign up?
Okay, so there are a lot of options between you and I. I think it's in every one of my bios.
Great.
I've got a couple of posts with the link down there, and it's a pretty easy link, theinterviewadvisor.com/get started.
So theinterviewadvisor.com/get started.
Yeah.
Perfect. And you can find that in my bio. You can find it in your bio.
My bio, anywhere.